Well, good evening again, everybody. Kevin Crouch here with South Metro Weather. We have a new storm here, this one in southeast Dallas County in the Hutchins area near Wilmer, moving southward right along I-45 here. And this one decided to take a trek south. It was moving, sort of moving eastward. It wasn't moving much at all. And then it just decided to start diving down the interstate here. And you can see a very well-defined not hook echo, but hail core here. And this one continuing to move southward. This warning goes until 7:30, and you can see that this warning does include Wilmer and Ferris here, moving into northern Ellis County. And so this storm is definitely capable of hail, golf ball size hail possible with this storm. They have just upgraded this to a considerable severe thunderstorm warning. So what that means is that the hail is capable of creating considerable damage. And so you may hear sirens going on from Hutchins to Wilmer to Ferris. And let me put the phone down here so I can watch that. But this storm is moving south, and we'll see where are they clocking this speed. Probably about, I would guess, about 20 miles per hour here. So let me see. It's moving south at 15. So 15 miles per hour as far as that speed here. It is moving southward. So if you're in Wilmer, in Ferris, this storm is headed your way, and it is capable of producing golf ball sized hail. That can cause quite a bit of damage, and they will sometimes, at least depending on your municipality, they will sometimes sound those sirens. So we'll continue to monitor this storm, of course, as it moves southward. And I want to make sure that we are, let me just double check and make sure everything's working here. Okay, good. Well, maybe not. Okay, good, yeah. So, all right, just making sure things are working because the chat doesn't seem to be cooperating here. Let me just pull this over and make sure that everything is working according to the way it should be, because we definitely want to have the messages coming through here. So it's in the Hutchins area right now, headed right towards Palmer, headed right towards Ferris. So we'll put this in motion for you and kind of see where this thing is moving. It's not moving terribly quickly here. Again, 15 miles per hour per the National Weather Service. So it's moving southward, and it is capable of producing golf ball sized hail. Golf ball sized hail, it can do quite a bit of damage. So this one making its way into the Wilmer area, then after that into Ferris, and Linda Conway are asking if it'll hold together and hit Palmer. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. It's hard for me to say if it will, how far south this storm will go. If you're on that I-45 corridor, you need to be watching this storm. But again, it's a little tough to say how long this thing will hang around, how far south it will make it, because these things have been, we've seen this already over the course of the evening, where they intensify and then they kind of take forever to move anywhere, and then they just die out. This warning goes until 7:30, so about another 25 minutes or so now left in this warning. So as it moves southward, I would expect it in Wilmer, expect it in Ferris, but as we get farther out here, it's hard to say if it will make it to Palmer, if it will make it to Ennis, eventually possibly down to Corsicana. It is really tough to say at this point because this storm is moving very slowly, and we've seen these generally weaken quite a bit. Now, I will say that you see this black area there. That is a very impressive hail core, and it almost looks like this storm could be maybe slowing down a little bit, maybe taking a little bit of an eastern motion here. We'll continue to watch this storm as it continues to move right down I-45. Now, I will say that I'm not seeing a terrible lot of wind with this one at the moment, but we will have to kind of keep an eye on that. And then if we look at the vertically integrated liquid, there's that hail core right there near Wilmer, making its way towards Wilmer, eventually probably southward to Ferris. I would say, again, like I mentioned, expect it in Wilmer, expect it in Ferris, but it is moving fairly slowly towards those areas. So here's our storm, going to continue to make its way down I-45. Ferris, you are included in that severe thunderstorm warning that goes until 7:30. So those are the areas that we have to be most concerned about at this moment. I would say, again, if you're farther south than that, Palmer, Ennis, Garrett, those areas, it's unclear if this storm will make it there. We've seen several of these. They will peak in their intensity and then they fall apart and they don't actually make it where they're going because they're moving so slowly. So the jury's still out, really, if we can expect it in Palmer or in Ennis. But for Wilmer and Ferris, those are the two areas that need to be watching this very closely. Golf ball size hail is possible with this storm, and it is quickly intensifying. This was originally issued as your standard severe thunderstorm warning with 1-inch hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds. That has since been upgraded to a considerable damage threat with this storm. These severe thunderstorm warnings, they have tags now where they say, depending on the circumstances, depending on the conditions, there could be considerable damage, or I believe the next one up is catastrophic damage. This one at least is just considerable damage, but the golf ball sized hail, the potential for that does trigger that. And I will say right now that radar indicated is all we have. So we only have radar indication of the possibility of golf ball size hail with this storm. We do not have hail size reports on this yet. I have not seen that come through on the National Weather Service bulletins at this point. So, but we will continue to watch, and that will continue to be possible with this storm. And for the moment, this is really all that we are seeing across our area here. Here's the storm that we're watching. We'll continue to watch that as it moves down I-45 here. A storm near Euless. Heavy rain there, not really doing much. One north of Weatherford, that's about it. You see that just popped up north of Greenville, up closer to the Red River. We have storms up that way. And generally what we're going to see, just kind of taking a broader look at this, we will see these storms, more of those, continue to train southeastward. If anything, this storm is kind of taking on what we expect to see overnight tonight and tomorrow, of a complex of storms that makes its way through northeast Texas here. I think it stays northeast of our area, at least for the most part. We may get a little bit of a kind of a trim of it, but for the most part, I think it stays away from us. As far as our storm, though, we are getting a report off Pleasant Run, and let's see, Pleasant Run in 45, golf ball size hail in the Wilmer area right now. So thank you so much for that report. And another report from YouTube, 6 miles east of Ferris. Yeah, so clouds and thunder, but so far no precipitation. That will be changing probably very soon. But we are not looking at this storm affecting anything south of Ferris at this point. So this storm continues to make its way southward. It is in the Wilmer area right now. We have a report of golf ball sized hail in the Wilmer area. So we'll watch this storm. Looks like maybe it's gonna, the heaviest part of the storm is gonna slide just east of Wilmer. It's kind of getting a little bit more of an eastward push here. So maybe more of a southeasterly track with this, which would help that storm to bypass Ferris. I can't guarantee that at this point, but we will continue to watch it as it moves, and it's only moving at 15 miles per hour. So flooding will be a concern with this storm because as it's dropping a lot of heavy rain, a lot of hail, it's just gonna kind of sit there and hang around, and then eventually, of course, that will make its way, but that slow motion also makes it hard to know if this storm will make it farther south out of the warning area here. So down towards Ferris, we will be watching this to see if this continues the southerly motion it's been doing, or maybe more of a southeasterly track. You can see the polygon here, and mostly a kind of southeasterly track, I think, as you kind of follow the lines there. And someone saying that their 6-year-old said I have a nice haircut. Well, I appreciate that. It's definitely easier than when I let the hair continue to grow and get longer and longer. So here's to keeping it shorter, especially as we almost got to 90 degrees today. In fact, I think most of our area did make the 90-degree mark today, and that's part of what fueled these storms. So much daytime heating fueled that convection as we were able to get some of these storms, including this one, to break through the cap. So that's what we're watching right now. This is really the only storm in our particular area. I'll back this off just a little bit to show you there is a storm closer to DFW Airport right now, just about to overtake the airport there. And then our storm here that did prompt that severe thunderstorm warning, but really nothing else. There's a little shower here headed towards I-35E here from Red Oak on up towards DeSoto and Lancaster. But right now, this is the only storm that poses an immediate severe weather threat to our particular area. Again, we'll put this into motion for you, and this storm moving slowly here, dropping a lot of hail. We have had reports of golf ball sized hail here. That's what the warning was updated to, as a considerable damage threat with that golf ball sized hail, because it can cause considerable damage, especially in those large volumes sometimes of these storms that we've seen recently. And we'll take a look at the vertically integrated liquid too to get kind of a better view of that hail core, and that hail core continuing on. I mean, it's keeping its thing going here. So really not seeing any kind of signs of that weakening. So east of Wilmer, southeast of Hutchins, that's where we see that gray there. That's where we get into those larger hailstones, and really the threshold for severe hail at this point. But of course, where you see the pink and the black there, that is the heaviest of the hail. A report of dime-sized hail now in the Wilmer area. So hail sizes could be coming down, or you're just not under the kind of the peak hail in that storm, where we again have gotten reports of golf ball size hail there. And just checking some bulletins there. So nothing new from the National Weather Service. No reports confirmed by the National Weather Service of those hail sizes. But that does not mean that we couldn't see that. Thank you, Michael, for your Venmo donation. Greatly appreciated there. And Daniel, yeah, we don't have anything going for Italy right now. It looks like South Ellis County is going to miss out on this, at least for the moment. It's going to be hard to imagine anything new popping up here, especially as we're getting into nightfall. We will have to watch the storms that pop up along the cold front overnight tonight. It's a stationary front, and we'll have to kind of get an idea of what to expect there when we're on the other side of this current situation. We've had an update on the radar now. The storm looks to be maybe shrinking a little bit, but that hail core is very persistent here, hanging around right near Wilmer. Looks like the heaviest of this is moving just east of Wilmer now. Looks like it'll probably be a similar situation in Ferris. So I think really east of Ferris, that's where we will have the higher probability of this. So the Bristol area could be under the gun for the larger hail sizes here. Melanie, does not look like anything's headed to Waxahachie at this point. This storm will stay well east of there. And at this point, we'll put all of this into motion. And here's the storm near Euless, part of that heading right for DFW Airport. New little storm there, kind of in the Highland Park area, headed towards Garland. New storm there northeast of Weatherford. And then, of course, our severe storm here immediately in our area. And John is saying went through sunshine with it hailing around Keene 45 minutes ago. So yeah, that's the thing, is these storms, they're kind of just by themselves. So there's definitely the opportunity to see sunshine coming through as you're getting rain and hail, because there's not overcast conditions throughout, around these storms. They're kind of just out there by themselves. So in Ennis, Doris, we're not looking at anything imminently headed towards Ennis. This particular storm, it's doubtful that it will reach that area. Looks like that storm's already beginning to maybe shrink a little bit. So it could have, like we talk about, could have already kind of hit that peak, and then once it peaks, it kind of starts to die away again, kind of starts to weaken, and then from there, it starts to fall apart. But we're definitely going to continue to monitor it as we go through the next several minutes here, because it could very well continue to weaken, and then it could cycle up again. Any of that is possible. We are getting closer to, we're about a half an hour away or so from sunset, and I think that sunset will allow some of these more isolated storms to probably start to fall apart. But as I've been saying, we will be watching for storms overnight, and tomorrow mostly northeast of our area. We could get grazed in parts of Ellis County, parts of maybe Navarro County. I think from really I-35, really I would say I-45 and east will be more likely to get some of those storms overnight and tomorrow, but really not expecting a whole lot across our area here. Certainly not really expecting any severe weather here. I think that's going to stay outside of our area. So I want to also talk about, while I'm checking something on the I'm checking something on the phone here, I want to check and see what the National Weather Service is saying about Storm Protection Center, rather, saying about tomorrow. Doesn't look like they have a severe weather expectation for tomorrow for our area, but if you were signed up for Weather Call, you probably got two phone calls here. You got the phone call for the severe thunderstorm warning, and then you might have gotten a phone call for the upgrade to a considerable threat call here. So if you are signed up for Weather Call, that is a great service to have. It will give you a phone call as soon as a warning is issued, and will allow you to, for one, if it's overnight, we have a bad habit in north central Texas of getting overnight storms. You set it to your area, set up Weather Call, get it all kind of honed in and everything. You leave the ringer on overnight. Hey, you're going to get a phone call instead of a text message that's going to, buzz your phone for a quick second and then it's over and you don't even know it happened. It's a phone call with my voice letting you know that things are changing and that you do need to take shelter or at least take notice of what is going on. So if you sign up for Weather Call, $15 a year, not a bad price for a reliable system. And frankly, Weather Call, the messages come in more quickly than any other service that I have currently set up. Jessica Ward asking, could you please update us, waiting for Midlothian Panthers soccer girls and boys here in Dallas at White High School. So honestly, I'm not sure where in Dallas County White High School is. So I'm gonna have to look that up because I am not sure what part of Dallas that is in. So that's in North Dallas. So if you're in North Dallas, looks like the Midlothian, Midlothian Panther soccer girls and boys are in North Dallas here. So you've already got a storm there. That one will be moving out in the next several minutes, but near the Grand Prairie area, extending up towards DFW Airport, you have another storm that could be headed east that way. So it may require some patience here for those soccer games going on up there in the Highland Park area. So just be patient there. You have a couple of storms to deal with. First is the one that's impacting you now, and then is another one farther east in the Irving, Grand Prairie, DFW Airport area that could be headed east towards that area as well. So unfortunately, that's kind of where things stand at the moment. If you want to have somebody with that team get in touch with me directly, I'll be happy to kind of lend my input with the storms that are going on there, as I know that those delays when it comes to those games are frustrating, and you really do want to continue those things. And yeah, so you've been, Jessica was saying it's been under lightning delays since 6 o'clock. So unfortunately, northern Dallas has had several things going on tonight. So hopefully, maybe this last storm here in the Grand Prairie area, hopefully that will be the last one you have to put up with. But for the moment, unfortunately, I do expect more delays for the North Dallas area. And of course, we don't usually cover North Dallas, but hey, we got kiddos from our area up there, so I'm happy to contribute. This storm in the Ferris and Palmer area right now, Wilmer area, well north of Palmer, but in the Wilmer area, looks to be weakening right now. So we could have seen that peak, and then now looks like that could be on the weakening side. That warning has about another 10 minutes. They may allow that warning to go the next 10 minutes and then expire it at the regular time, just in case this thing decides to intensify again. But it continues to move on slowly but surely to the southeast, staying east of Wilmer at this point. And if it does hit Ferris, it'll be eastern parts of Ferris there. But it does look like it is again on the downside of that trend. And of course, as we get closer and closer to about 7:50, that's when we will start to see sunset. And that will probably allow some of these storms to continue to weaken here. So that's part one of what we can expect here. Part two moves in mostly to our northeast overnight. Could be some showers and thunderstorms in our area. Not really looking at a severe weather situation for us, but I won't be surprised if we have some showers and thunderstorms. Probably, I would say mostly north of I-20, east of I-45. So I think mostly north and east of our area. So I think that's probably what we're looking at for that particular area. And yeah, Jessica, I'm happy to contribute to that. Again, if you want to get somebody in touch with me directly through the page, I'll be happy to stay in contact with you all and you know, offer my 2 cents in with that. So this storm continues to presumably weaken in our area. We'll take a look at the vertically integrated liquid and see what this storm looks like from that perspective. Maybe get a closer look inside of this storm. And yeah, so you're seeing that hail core definitely weakening here. There could be some small hail still falling in that storm east of Wilmer, northeast of Ferris, but right now it does definitely look to be weakening here. We're going to see that. This is one of those situations where the storm really intensifies and it busts through that cap, but it can't always maintain that strength, and the cap is eventually going to shut it down to where it can't really accomplish much more going forward. So, I mean, presumably when we go through the evening, we will see that trend continue. But as I said, we are getting closer to sunset. So I think by 7:50, 8 o'clock or so, we'll probably start to see those weaken, and that will also reduce the likelihood that more of these storms will continue to bust through that cap, because that cap will generally be weakening here, or really be strengthening at that point. As our temperatures drop, you're growing that, or really lessening that equilibrium. What you want to break a cap is when the temperatures at the surface warm up to meet the cap, because what the cap is a warm layer of air above the ground. Let me get back to the reflectivity here that you're so familiar with, but normally you have temperatures that decrease with elevation. That's a standard situation. At some point, when we send those weather balloons up, and this is one of the reasons they're so important, we have some National Weather Service offices that are having to cut back on weather balloon releases. That's not a good thing, because this is helpful information. As you lose temperature going up, sometimes you notice temperature jumps all of a sudden. There's an increase in temperature temporarily as you continue that elevation. That's the cap. The temperatures matter in that regard because these storms need lowering temperatures to continue to grow up. They need that continuing instability, but when they hit that cap, when they hit that warm air, that limits how tall those clouds can be. Or you can have showers and thunderstorms that are above the cap, and that kind of weakens their ability to intensify much or become surface-based, which helps with their intensifying process as well. So we can limit what storms can do. So if you have temperatures that warm at the surface and they get warmer and warmer to the point where that cap is no longer warmer than the air below it, then that breaks the cap, and that creates more equilibrium, allowing those storms to grow. As you cool at the surface, that makes that gap between the temperatures in the cap and the temperatures at the surface greater, thereby removing and decreasing that equilibrium, making it tougher for those storms to get through the cap. So as we go through the evening and we start cooling down, the cap strengthens once again, and that will limit what we can see from these storms. And they're not done yet. These storms are just going to keep on trying. And I'm curious to see what this does as we have this front that is draped across the area. And I am going to, if you'll allow me a moment, let's see where that front was last placed here. See if I can get that pulled up. Okay, so the front, showing the front is still over southern Oklahoma, kind of through to the Arklatex. So what we'll see over time is we'll see this continue to make its way, and southwest of the front you won't see much. Northeast of the front, that's where we'll have the showers and thunderstorms. So as far as our particular area, overnight we could see some storms try to make an impression in Dallas, Ellis, and Navarro counties, but I don't expect much. But as far as north of our area, we have another severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued for far eastern Tarrant County over into western Dallas County here. So that storm continuing to intensify, and looks like there's some outflow going out from that storm that could later strengthen that storm near Azle. But up in the Metroplex, we do have another severe thunderstorm warning that's been issued. That one in particular looks like that's a standard warning, so 60 plus mile per hour winds and 1 inch or larger hail radar indicated with that storm. And of course, we've been talking about some of the boys and girls soccer from Midlothian up in the Highland Park area. That storm unfortunately headed your way, so those delays will likely continue. And then of course we have this storm, which looks to be still on a weakening trend near Wilmer, near the Ferris area, but that one is weakening. That warning will expire here just in the next few minutes there, so that they will likely allow that warning to expire. And frankly, once we get all of this activity, once we get this one out of the way, I think everything else stays north of our area. So once this storm dies away, we're less and less likely to see new storms at this point as we continue on. And then as we see these storms up north, that could continue to, move eastward, cycle up and down, that kind of thing. But I think that as we get through the next several minutes here, it's going to be less and less likely that we will see new storms developing, and certainly new storms intensifying there. Again, that outflow boundary, hey, we'll have to see what that does. But as far as our area down to the south, I would doubt that we would see anything new after this storm goes away and after that warning is allowed to allowed to expire there. So here's that storm right there near Patrick. There's Walnut Springs. Here's India. There's Ferris. There's Palmer. So, excuse me, Wilmer and Palmer. I'm getting those mixed up today. So Wilmer, storm kind of pulling away from there. Looks like this thing will stay east of Ferris there. So looks like, Dallas-Fort Worth Airport now reporting hail. So that storm has reached DFW Airport up at that point. And then, like I say, Jessica, if you're still watching, unfortunately, it does look like another storm that at this point is severe warned is headed towards the Highland Park area where those Midlothian soccer students are at this time. So this warning will likely be allowed to expire. This storm will likely continue to weaken there, and that will end our severe weather threat, at least for now. But I just don't see any of these storms causing a severe weather threat here. And as we get closer to sunset, I do think that we will see chances continue to reduce, that we will see new storms create new severe weather threats across our area. So this warning, I believe, let's just confirm that. Yeah, so that will expire here any moment. And Wendy does not look like anything is headed to the Palmer area right now. So this storm in particular looks like that's going to pull away, probably moving more towards far northeastern Ellis County, but more kind of western Kaufman County there. So that warning will expire here. We'll see that fall off the screen here momentarily, and that will wrap up the severe weather threat for our area for the moment, and most likely, I think, until tomorrow. We will have to watch and see what happens with these showers and thunderstorms that are northeast of us. We'll have to see if any of those are able to wander into our area. Doesn't look likely, though. So after that, the next rain chance is Thursday and Friday. Could be more widespread rain, but could be without the drama. Stay tuned to South Metro Weather for continued coverage. I will continue to monitor this throughout the evening. Chances are lowering, so we are in a good position. There goes that warning. So we will wrap up this stream, but continuing coverage will be brought if necessary. But for now, severe weather threat is clearing for our area. Stay tuned for more updates, of course.